Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca. I'm an inner child healing facilitator, and my website is www.thrivehive.co.za. If you would like to learn more about how to take a nice deep dive for 9 weeks to go and meet and reparent all the facets of your inner child so that you can really thrive today and into the future. So today I'm bringing you the last phase that I deal with anyway in the inner child healing journey. And that age is the older adolescent. So last time we did the younger adolescent, which was all about beginning peer pressure, hormones, all of that stuff. Okay, really hectic time. And now we're going to the 15 to 18 or 19 years of age, which is the older adolescent. I am sad to say that it doesn't get easier for older adolescents. It only gets more ramped up. This is the second half of the bridge into adulthood, which the earlier adolescent had started. And now you got that and then some. Okay, so some of the stuff that we discussed last time was things like peer pressure, starting to have to fit in and find your identity with groups, sexuality, possible risk of some really hectic habits like alcohol and drug abuse or self-harming and that kind of stuff. So again, I just reiterate that if the foundation years, which is up until the younger adolescent, if those were not handled very well, or you had some severe traumas in those times, and you weren't guided to learn all the things that you needed to learn to do the foundational work of safety, nurturing, and trust, boundaries, self-confidence, all of that stuff, then adolescence was probably 100 times more difficult for you than already difficult. Okay, so when we look at the older adolescent, this is let's just say it's hectic, because what happens to the older adolescents, starting in young adolescence, but now it's full force, is that the brain kind of does a bit of a shutdown, because that's the final stage of real overhaul and growth hormonally, physically for the brain. And what it does is the growth starts in the back in the reptilian brain and up and forwards on a physical level. So that means that the reptilian brain, the reactive brain of the teenager, is the strongest. And very often the logical frontal cortex, which is, being able to project into the future, cause and effect. Should I do this? What's going to happen if I jump off a bridge or whatever? I mean, teenagers do some stupid things. And that's often not because they're stupid. It's simply because they cannot, at that phase, project that the consequences of their actions, because that part of the brain is completely shut down. So please, if you have teenagers in your life, and if you are making contact with your inner teenager, your inner adolescent, please have mercy. That is very often where the trauma comes in, is that we forget that teenagers are still children, and they forget that they are still children, and they are in this weird hellish part between wanting and needing mom and needing to break away completely and find their identity. So identity, defining the self, is all about what the adolescent, the older adolescent especially, is about. Who am I? That's the all-important question at this time. And another thing about older adolescents is there's got to be black or white answers. There cannot be gray areas. They can't deal with gray areas in their brain. So of course you need to have a right answer. That's why they always have to be right, and mom's always wrong, right? And they define themselves by objects, because that's the easiest thing. The material is the easiest thing to latch onto. So you'll see that they define themselves by, do I have a hot body? Do I have the correct clothes? Do I have a rich family? Do I, what do I do? Am I the captain of the football team? Am I a chess genius? Or am I the rebel who smokes and drinks in clubs all weekend? And there's all that upheaval, and then trying to find a definition in the center of that. Very, very hectic, I'm sure you might remember. So they're also unable to express what's really going on in the inside, because the back of the brain is not a language center, by the way. It's not an emotional, a logical emotional center. So there's all these turmoils and insecurities and terror. They're terrified, which is why they act like such nanas most of the time. So again, be gentle with your teenagers. They are intensely critical of everything and everything. Teachers, parents, they're all like, I gotta say, teenagers, groups of teenagers especially, kind of freak me out, because they always look at you with this disdain, right? And it's that intense criticism, which is all they can really express, because they're trying to find a way in all this. And they're also actively pushing back. So a big part of the older adolescent is rebellion. So with regards to rebellion, history is often made and the world is often changed for the better when young people rebel against the unfair status quo. All right. It's very often things like the protests against the Vietnam War, the Soweto youth uprisings, as tragic as that was. It was a tipping point for South African democracy. The uprising of the Chinese students in 1989 with Tiananmen Square violence and that kind of stuff. The more recent Arab Spring that was happening. So rebellion can be a very effective way for those young people to change the world. Caution to the wind, I'm doing this, I'm changing this, I'm not okay with this. And that's a wonderful thing. So we have to also see where our rebellion brought us a better world, a brighter future. However, very often teenagers are so punished into not rebelling, or are too afraid, possibly from their foundational learning, to actually go out and rebel in any way at all, that they don't rebel in their teenage years. And now you've got a problem, because now that kid goes out in the big wide world, and now in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, they start rebelling because they have the freedom. And then you got problems. Okay. So look at how you did rebellion, whether it's against your peers, whether it's against your teachers, whether it's against your parents, or the authorities, the government or whatever. How did you do rebellion? Did you do rebellion? And do you maybe need to do a bit of rebellion today? But in a safe way, please. So at that age, they needed to rebel effectively while implementing the boundary setting skills they learned in earlier childhood to smooth the way for them. They had to learn to explore and define their own identity, their ambitions, because now you're also being pushed to choose a college or choose your future when you're around 16, 17 years of age. Like, what are you going to be? What are you going to do for the rest of your life? Okay, that's big pressure amongst all of this other crap that's going on in your life. Your values and your opinions. Can you today speak your opinion with conviction? And that is stuff that you needed to practice as an older adolescent. And of course, then again, just implementing all the learning of the earlier children, like safety, nurturing, trust, boundaries, exploration, creativity, confidence, self-esteem, autonomy, blah, blah, blah. Because now you are on the final little home stretch to getting kicked out the nest, fly you. So yeah, it's a preparation for adulthood is this final phase, but boy, is it not easy. Now, potential issues, and these are just some of the issues I'm going to cover. Again, sexual inhibition, or being sexually demanding or obsessive in some way might have started in this age. I've mentioned substance abuse, addictive, destructive behaviors in an effort to cope with life. Being intensely self-conscious about your physical appearance. So look at maybe traumas that may have happened, overt or covert traumas at that age. feeling like you don't match up, or being obsessed today with looking perfect all the time, being caught in active or passive rebellion, being overly demanding that people go with or against your, with your ideas and wishes. Being a bit of a whip cracker or a bully, even in your grown-up life. And then the inability to express your unique opinions and to really stand up for yourself. If you hadn't practiced that and you hadn't been able to do that with conviction at that age, then you certainly can't do it now. Or also feeling frustrated and stuck in a career or a way of life today that is absolutely not aligned with who you really are. Because at that age, again, choose your university, choose your life path right now. We need to put you on that. It's just, the system is set up in completely the wrong way, in the fact that we pressure kids whose minds have not finished developing to suddenly choose their path and get the picket fence, right? And now you may be stuck with a situation where, gosh, actually, I want to be an accountant, but I was pushed into being an artist, or the other way around, and the beautiful thing is that later in life, especially in our 40s and 50s, midlife, we get another chance. And especially nowadays, today, with the energies being what they are, the world, the universe is demanding that we show our true colors. So perhaps a good time to look at that older adolescent, make contact through either meditation, journaling, looking at pictures of yourself at that age, observing teenagers in your world to see how awkward and scared they really are. Have some pity, and really just go and see how you can right the wrongs and learn the lessons of that age, so that you can become that person, that fully grown, fully fledged adult that may never have really had a chance to fly the nest, or had to fly the nest with a broken wing at that age. And to do that, again, you can go and check out my guided meditation. It's a freebie on my website, thrivehive.co.za. Or there's also a lovely self-study little mini course with audio that you can use to start thinking authentic thoughts, ending negative tape loops of upbringing and beliefs. Think your own thoughts, feel your feelings for what they really are, evaluate it all, and then make new choices that will serve you better and leaving you more joyful, more successful, more at peace, and just a whole WHOLE human being. So yeah, have fun with that and let me know how it goes. If you'd like to dive in deep with a 9-week online course, go and check out the new start date on thrivehive.co.za. Or I also do one-to-one consultations. If you'd like to reach out to me for one of those, then I can help you with that as well. Have fun with your older adolescent. Go maybe dress up, dye your hair a funky color, be a bit of a rebel, and see how that feels. See how comfortable you are with that. From my heart to your heart, have a gorgeous, gorgeous day. God bless.